friend, welcome. Always exciting time to be with you. Today's video will be a continuation of what we looked at last week. Last week we looked at, why capital is not an excuse not to start a business. We looked at why we shouldn't use capital as an excuse for not starting your business. And I got a lot of interesting response, and I want to address some of the response as we look at the process of iteration in bringing a venture to the marketplace, like we promised last week. So the first person, said, why will I say that capital is not an excuse when, the data he used in viewing my video costs money? And I laughed because I just imagined that if you don't have the data, to learn about business for free, then you shouldn't even be in the business in the first instance. But the one I want to address today is my friend that asked to say, my bro, please let's be practical about this thing. This is Nigeria. Lack of capital is the greatest obstacle to many. And he went ahead and said I should carry out a test. I should ask some people with requisite experience and very sound and bankable idea or project to request for funding from Nigerian banks so that I can take a poll and find out the response that they got from the bank. And this is my response. We are not saying that capital is not needed, to bring a venture and opportunity successfully to the marketplace. But the first thing is that it's not capital that you need. Even before you get to the point to know that your venture is bankable, you must have done some work, and those work does not need capital. But even if you say that your idea is bankable, how come the banks are not banking an idea that is bankable? My experience is that most people that says their idea is bankable don't have bankable ideas. Why? Because if your idea is bankable, the banks will invest in your project. In fact, one of the advices I have received from mentors who have succeeded in businesses is that even if you don't want to collect money from the bank, subject your idea, to the bank as if you want to get funding from the bank. Why? Because the banks will evaluate your idea to find out whether your idea is bankable or not. They will make you see the things you have not seen before. But that's not even the issue. My experience is that for most, new ventures, most startups, banking funding is not attractive. So you find out that even when people subject the idea for banking fund, it's just to test whether the idea is bankable, because the banks don't give the condition that is favorable to a startup. So my experience is not that the banks are not ready to receive, the funding. My experience is that most startups that knows their onions will not collect money from the bank. Why? The bank conditions are not conducive for bringing a successful venture to the market. So why does venture capitalists, why does angel investors, why does investors don't give money to startups? Because most startups come up with a very fanciful proposal, thinking that their proposal will attract funding. What actually attracts funding is the result you get from empirical data that shows that people are interested in your business. Once you have those data, it is easy to raise funding because you have evidence that people want what you are offering to the market. But without that empirical evidence, you will struggle in raising funding. This is what I'm trying to address in the process. That's why I think that experimentation is key, because one of the things that experimentation does for you is help you generate empirical data, that shows that your venture is what people want. Your venture will be profitable. In fact, when investors, are trying to invest in your project, what they look at is those empirical data that is very important in them evaluating, the value of your venture. So, but without that, what you're going to do, you're going to struggle. So let's look at where capital fits in all the process. So that's why we say that capital is not an excuse to start. We have said that for an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to do is to find opportunities. First thing you need to do is to find opportunities. Once you find opportunities and narrow to one opportunity that you want to explore and bring to the market, the next thing you need to do is that you begin with a hypothesis about that opportunity. So what are you trying to find out? Okay, you want to find out whether customers want, okay, or need that idea or that project or that needs you are trying to solve. You want to find out whether customer will be willing to pay, more than the cost of selling, the cost of delivering, and the cost of supporting, that product or services. You want to find out hypothesis about how big your market is. You need to be able to find out how big the market is. All these, okay, idea benefit of scale. You also want to find out as you grow, is there benefit, are there network effects? So those are some of the things that, okay, you're going to find out in your hypothesis. Are there growth options? So as you grow, are there potential for other businesses when you grow this very opportunity? Okay, who are your current competitors? Who are likely to be your competitors? Are you able to put any barrier so that competitors don't come quickly, okay, and come into your space and make your place very, very competitive? Those are some of the things. What kind of team do you need, okay, to be able to run a good company? So those are the kind of hypotheses that you set up in the first step. After you have set up all the things you want to try, the next thing you need to do is you design a test. Remember we said that it's going to be, okay, low cost, okay, short test within a short time that generates a lot of information. Okay, so this is where you find out, you do tests about what information will convince you and your stakeholders that you're on the right path or on the wrong path. From whom should you raise capital? This is where you're saying, so if I'm going to need capital, who am I going to get it from? How much capital, how much time am I going to need to run the test? It's not to bring the product to the market first, it's to run the test. The money you're looking for right now is the money to do what? To run the test. So how much capital are you using? What test? So two requirements for you to be able to get money from investors is that you have evidence from the market, empirical evidence that your opportunity is what the market wants. Two is the terms, because they are not going to give you money for free. They are giving you money, for return. So the terms must be good. So once you get those evidence that people want your product and you have the terms right, very likely you're going to attract funding. Okay. So what other resources do you need? The people, the research, the suppliers, the partners that you will need to be able to bring the opportunity to the marketplace. So once you have that, at this point, so once you have designed the test, you run the test to generate information, okay? So when you run the test, you are asking the question, what did you learn from your test? How would you respond to what you learned? What do you need to do next, given what you have learned? What other tests do you need to carry out? So you find out that at this point, you are able to come up with the empirical evidences that shows that, okay, you actually, have what the customer wants. So here you have, customer response to your idea. Those are kind of the empirical evidence that you have. Access to, channel for distribution, cost of production and distribution, the human skill you need to execute. Those are all the information you need from the marketplace. Here now, you are not judging from your brain, you are not judging from assumption, you are judging from empirical, real life data from the market, and these are the information that investors will see and will be ready to invest in your product. I hope you find this useful. So I want to rest for the final time all this noise about I don't have capital. So in conclusion, I say if you have empirical data from the marketplace that your idea works, investors will be interested in your product. As I close, I give you an example. I came up with a real estate idea at the time, and I wanted, to find out whether people are interested in it. I needed just 40 people. By the time I sent, the information and the offer out, I find out that over 100 people indicated interest. This is a solid empirical evidence that shows that people are interested in the offer. Then I went ahead and I asked them to commit money. And I find out that over 7 people committed money. If I had gone to the bank with that data, or I'd gone to an investor with that data, that would be a serious attraction for people to put their money, because I've been able to get empirical evidence from the market that people are interested in that project. So this is how you raise funding. In addition to the condition, that condition must be favorable to them, before they are going to release their money. What you're going to find out is that, especially for venture capitalists, they are not going to stop funding you because your venture failed. They will always fund you as long as you have empirical evidence that shows that there's a likelihood for that venture to succeed. In addition to that empirical evidence is a condition, that they are giving out their funds. I hope you find this useful. Like I said, if you are here to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so now. And if I want to encourage you, please kindly share this in your network. And we'll see you next week. Thank you and have a great week.